the part group, Production and Research in Transliteracy, was set up about a year and a half ago by a group of researchers here when we got together to talk about what we had in common. And although we were all working in lots of different areas, we all decided that what we had in common was a vague interest in this new notion of transliteracy, although we weren't quite sure what it was. So we spent some time working together and trying to tease out a definition. And the outcome of that day was very clearly, quite a few people said, what we want to do next is we want to make transliterate objects, but we don't know what they are. But we want to come together and have a go. And that's what today is about. So today is the third of those events. And what we've tried to do is to produce all kinds of different materials for you to have a go at making transliterate objects.
We're playing around with the idea of capturing concepts and the ideas within particular objects at the moment, and then just understanding relationships. And some of it is a bit... it actually is this thing. It's string, which is connections. But then we've got bits that actually are about hiding the string, so you don't see the connections sometimes, and that's the thing still to be explored. It's kind of wrapped up in other things. We're going to possibly wrap up some string in this paper, which has got a short narrative on it. So the string is hidden. The connections are hidden within the narrative, and it's to be explored and unwrapped.
But this is very much a research project, because we're actually asking, by building, we're asking through our work with the objects, what is this?
I kind of think that actually the process of making is the transliterate thing, and the discussions and the playing, and I suspect that transliteracy is a process rather than a product.
Process of making it and using it. And how we're choosing to make it is applying transliteracy to a playful end. I think it would be something which would be created through transliterate means, and we've applied transliteracy to make it. But I don't think it's in and of itself it's transliterate.
It's an idea for an online story world where you can have collaborative working on stories stimulated by a resident image that's attached to one of these pieces, which can only link in certain ways to the next piece, and the colours represent different sections of storytelling, for instance action or consequence, or a link between two bits of story, and that it's a stimulus to online writing in that sense. But it could also be a model for other database kind of writing, where you accumulate things and people can reuse elements again and again.
Sticky strips hanging down are data catchers.
Right, like dream catchers hanging.
No, not like dream
like
catchers.
fly catchers.
Like fly catchers.
Okay.
And there's a lot of shrouded links. So if you look at the sort of, if you take the string as
the cotton string,
and that one's got wire around it, and that's got paper clips on it. So if you take the cotton string as representing the relationships and links, then most of them have been made more complex or masked. And there's the quintessential piece of connection is actually wrapped in brown paper, which has writing on it and has knots in it inside it, and there's an image in there. Because what we wanted to do was capture the complexities of these relationships. We didn't want any of the relationships between things to be just simple or, one-dimensional. So there's lots of symbolism in the different aspects to it.
And also with the kind of hidden connection, where the string is hidden under other connections, is metaphorical, I think, of our different ways of accessing information, because we were talking about how there might be lots of different connections, but we'll each take a different route to it. So any of us could choose any bit of the yellow string or the lace to make our way in between different points of information.
Well, you were talking about tides and flotsam and jetsam, and for me, the transliterate space is an interstitial space, and I always think of it like an estuary. So I always think of tides going in and out, and of salt water and fresh water mixing, and of new kinds of life forms and plant forms evolving, and some of them are successful and live, and some of them are unsuccessful, kind of strange mutations that live for a short time and then die. But there's always this constant flux going on. And I guess this is also the very messy space that some people would prefer not to be in. So perhaps kind of traditional literacy, whatever are the tidier areas of that, where things have started to solidify, where the mud of the estuary has started to turn to fertile land that people can grow crops on, and that kind of thing. Or, this pure ocean that's deep and you can sail ships on. But I'm more interested in that muddy bit that's constantly changing all the time, that is neither one thing nor the other, really. So neither open nor closed. I suppose leaky might be. But the other thing that I think muddies the waters a lot is the self-taughtness of transliteracy, because with reading and writing, you can calculate somebody's reading age. There are lots of different ways in which you can measure somebody's literacy. But their kind of media literacy, if you like, or the self-taughtness that we all do around technology is not measurable, hardly at all. I mean, I know you can get, your kind of European computer users driving license or whatever, but generally we're all self-taught. And so I think that's thrown into the mix of transliteracy is the self-taughtness of so much of what we all know.
It's only this century that you've got, things on media literacy and digital literacy, and this idea that actually we need to start equipping people with those skills rather than letting them emerge.